Okay, Jacob. So firstly, how disappointing was Tuesday night?
Yeah, obviously it was disappointing. I think we were well beaten by a good team, and yeah, it's one that we kind of just have to get over and get focused back on winning games at home, being strong, being tight defensively, and scoring goals as well.
I know they're a big team, but it did come as a bit of a surprise, didn't it? After 3 home wins before that, to be 1-0 down after less than a minute.
Yeah, I think if you're going to a big club away from home, you want to set up your shop right. We're not going to let them score first 20 or whatever. Then obviously they score first minute in a manner that we conceded. After that, it was always going to be tougher because they had their goal, so they could play the football a bit more freely, and they were a good side, and we were well beaten.
Do you think the break before that didn't help, having a couple of games postponed before that game?
Probably not. Obviously, they were coming off a defeat as well, and they're chasing the top two. And we hadn't played for 2 weeks, and the weather's not been great up here, so we've been training on different surfaces and whatnot. So obviously it didn't help. But there are excuses at the end of the day, aren't they? So it wasn't acceptable to lose that way. Probably we want to be better than that.
So it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? You've got to learn the lessons from it, but really going into another home game, have you got to think, no, sort of forget about Tuesday night and remember that it's 3 home wins on the bounce before that?
Yeah, obviously we had really good form, and then obviously the break came with the postponed games. We've got to take that kind of focus on what we were doing right in those games, and Tuesday's a bit of a I don't know what the word you'd call it, but
blip.
Yeah, a blip in the road. So we get back here on Saturday with the fans behind us, and I thought the fans on Tuesday were exceptional as well. The people that made the trip, we could hear them all game, and thank them for coming down all that way.
Bristol Rovers, another tough test, another big name in League One, really, and relative to the other teams you've beaten here, another level up, really.
Yeah, we obviously, it was a good game when we played them at their place earlier on in the season, and I think it'll be another good test, a good game on Saturday. But anyone here, we've got to think this is our fortress, and we can beat anyone here. They're a good team though, and they've got really good players. So it's going to be a tough one, but we'd like to think at home that's where we're going to make it count. So. We do that on Saturday, hopefully.
Yeah, you mentioned the word fortress. What's it like when you came out for that last home game against Cheltenham, knowing that you've got the confidence behind you, the crowd are up for it? How much of a difference does that actually make?
Yeah, it's a huge difference. I think the support we get here is top notch. The fans always get behind us, and it obviously always helps. Even last year, some of the games here. They were still behind us then, and they're still behind us now, and obviously it's massive for us going if you're 2-1 like we were at Cheltenham, and it's almost like they're blowing the ball away from our goal when we're defending that side. So it was it's always really helpful, yeah.
Yeah, because the other thing about Tuesday night was that conceding 4 goals was very unusual recently, wasn't it? Your part of the defence it's been pretty solid, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think the last 3 games, obviously we had. Was it 2 clean sheets? I can't.
Yeah, 2
clean sheets.
1 in the other, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we were working really well. Obviously, Ipswich is probably another level to the teams that we kept the clean sheets against, and their goals apart from the first one, their finishes on Tuesday were clinical, and they're probably more clinical than other teams in this league. So. It's more of a blip in the road, hopefully for us, and I'd like to think we can get back here and get back, kind of shutting up sharp.
The other thing about Bristol Rovers is, they've got quite a high team spirit at the moment. They've all had their heads shaved in support of Nick Anderson, one of their players, who's from Lancashire originally, who's got cancer. That could be another factor, couldn't it? They'll be really up for it as well.
Yeah, and obviously I pass on our best wishes to him, and we hope he gets better. But yeah, they've got a good team spirit, and I know one of the players that was there, and he said they they're really pulling together. They've had a good season, their first season back in League One. So they're going to be a tough test, but we have to come through these tests to stay in this league, and that's what we want to do.
What you've done now with the last 3 home games is giving yourself a chance, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, if you look before those 3 games, we were 6 points adrift, I think, and we've given ourselves a fighting chance going into the back end of the season now. And if we can keep that home form going and beat the teams around us, and some further up in the league, and kind of push into that lower mid table, where the likes of Cheltenham are and Shrewsbury. If we can push up and kind of bring them back into reach, that's what our focus has to be on. We don't want to be looking down, even though we're obviously in the relegation zone now. That's partly because we had those 2 games postponed and everyone else played. So we'd like to look up more than look down, I think.
Mazuma